Welcome into NBA Now. I am Tom Downey as the NBA offseason gets closer as the playoffs are ongoing, including today. A question for you guys, since the bosses are making me do NBA instead of NFL today. Which one do you want more of as we get into the end of May, early June, July? Is it the NBA? Type in NBA. Or if it's not, type in NFL for me in the comments section. We've got a lot of trade rumors to get into. Of course, there's playoff games going on, but trade rumors matter for all teams, not just the two teams playing, or I guess 4 teams playing today. First up is the Donovan Mitchell future. There's a lot of discussion to be had here. Does Mitchell want to be in Cleveland? Does he want to trade? What are the Cavs going to do? They're going to keep Jarrett Allen, Garland, and Mitchell, and Mobley. We'll get to all of that because the Cavs do have decisions to make. Now, to an extent, it kind of becomes, champagne problems of, we got all these good players. How do we maximize our roster properly? I think the number one thing is Mitchell the priority for Cleveland? And I would assume, yes, he is the priority. Now, other teams are going to have interest. I mean, how many articles have you seen? Hey, our fan base wants to trade for Mitchell. Here's what it would probably cost. There's going to be a lot of those that happen. And for understandable reasons, because he's kind of good at this whole basketball thing, right? Not the first time I've sat up here discussing Donovan Mitchell trade rumors. We were doing that 2 years ago when the Jazz is supposed to be the Knicks, right? Oh, the Knicks are going to get D-Mitch. And then, nope, Cleveland comes barreling through. I think a deal that has worked out well for Cleveland, by the way. Mitchell averaged 28 points a game last year, 26.6 this season. The playoff results are disappointing, but you have, I think, a premium NBA talent who does need to have the ball in his hands, needs to be a high usage rate player, which we'll come back to with other players on this roster, how that all fits together. But I think if Mitchell wants to be in Cleveland, he's going to be in Cleveland. The contract kind of sets up like this. We're wondering, what is the Mitchell contract? We got you. $35.41 million this year, $37.1 next year, knowing there is a player option after that, which means you can either be a free agent if he declines the player option, or then would be a free agent if he opts into it. All these guys tend to opt out of their player options because they get more money. So I'm going to guess it's actually free agency then. So it's really a year of control. But if he wants to stay, get the most money, it's in Cleveland, or demand a trade. So Mitchell has the control here. The player empowerment era has long arrived for the National Basketball Association. I don't think the Cavs end up trading Donovan Mitchell. So sorry, Lakers, sorry, Heat, sorry, other fan bases. Other players, though, on Cleveland might end up getting moved. We'll come back to that in a moment here. But what is the percent chance you think the Cavs end up trading away Donovan Mitchell? It's the pinned comment on today's video. That ad comes on YouTube. That's great. Take advantage, head down there, and let me know what you think the percent chance is. Now, there's a couple different reports as it relates to the future of one Darius Garland. Zach Lowe of ESPN saying he'd be surprised if Mitchell and Garland were on the Cavs next year. Then there was this report from The Athletic that says rival executives believe the Cavs have to seriously evaluate the fit of Mitchell and Garland and ultimately have to choose one or the other. Should Mitchell decide to stay long-term, sources briefed on the matter say Garland's representation, Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul, would have a conversation with Cavs officials on potentially finding a new home for the one-time All-Star. Garland's a damn good basketball player. He's really good, even. He shoots well, he can score, handles the ball. I do think it is fair to question, okay, how does Garland and Mitchell fit in terms of maximizing both those guys? They're both not the biggest. They're both not the premier defenders. They're both need the ball in their hands. And I think that is why Garland's numbers have dipped the past 2 years. Coincides with the arrival of Donovan Mitchell, plus a drop or a rise and then drop in the field goal and the three-point efficiency. That is a big differentiator in terms of the points scored there. I think it's fair if you're Cleveland to go, maybe Garland's not the right fit. What could you end up doing? Could you find not picks, but a player? Just thinking of this. Could Brandon Ingram be a fit? Flip Ingram for Garland? Just throwing that out there as a hypothetical. Because the Pelicans get a point guard. Cavs get a wing who I think could help them out in a pretty good fashion. Cavs have talent. It might look like a very different roster, though, this upcoming season. And that includes Jarrett Allen. Because I think the same conversation has to be had, and I think is even more likely to be had, between Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. Can you have two bigs who are very good, who don't stretch the court very well? There is some, I think, concerns in the Cavs organization of Allen not playing down the stretch. Here's what Shams Charania reported on Allen. Few, if any, members of the organization doubted the discomfort Allen has been in since the injury. But the frustration among some members of the team was that he refused an injection to try and numb the pain and play. There's also this report from Brian Windhorst, by the way. I would just say that while there's extreme interest and excitement, probably from certain fan bases to go to the trade machine and work out Donovan Mitchell trades, maybe those will be needed in a month. We'll see. I would think the Cavs are going to be spending more time in the next month looking at possible Jarrett Allen trades and what that could bring. Allen averaged a double-double this year. That is valuable in the rim running and or floor stretching era of big men, but does he fit well enough alongside Evan Mobley and Mitch? I think it's a fair question to ask. Do all three players get dealt by Cleveland? Absolutely not. Over-under might be 1.5, though. We'll see what happens around the association when it comes to potential Cavs trades. Now, whatever team you're a fan of, you can get their jersey, top player, whatever, over at chatsports.com/NBA jersey. Take you right into the Fanatic site for all the best NBA jerseys. Official Nike ones as well. Tons of different styles, the alternates, the throwbacks. You can find the city jerseys as well. So whatever team you're cheering for, whatever player you love, you can get their jersey today over at chatsports.com/NBA jerseys. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. Let's go to the Atlanta Hawks, who suddenly have one of the most intriguing off seasons in front of them. There's the whole Trae Young, Dejounte Murray, who's going to be the guy, who's not going to be the guy, and the number one overall pick now, too, which was one of the more wild NBA draft lotteries in recent memory. There's no more sealing of the envelopes, freezing it, whatever. Maybe they coated the ball in Magic City lemon pepper seasoning, who knows. But the Trae Young market, per a Yahoo Sports report, might not be as strong. Now, I think part of this is, hey, what's going to happen elsewhere? Yahoo Sports says the Spurs, who have long been linked to Young and, funnily enough, bringing back to Dejounte Murray, I think it's a great idea. I think Murray's actually be a great fit in San Antonio. That we'll see. They're not having shown interest yet. And teams reportedly are going to be interested in other players first. Is Donovan Mitchell available? What's the status of Darius Garland even? Is Brandon Ingram potentially on the market? NBA does, I think, starts evaluating more defense than they had in some previous years. And does Trae Young fit for a championship contender? We know he's a great player. Is he the missing piece for somebody, though? We'll spend a lot of time here on the channel with trade rumors. My boy Rolly's got covered on draft coverage. Be a lot more NBA coverage here on Chat Sports, not just from me, but mostly from Rolly and others. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Look, Trae Young is a bucket getter. We know that. 25.7 points per game, but he missed time this past year. In fact, his points per game has dropped from 2021 to 2 to 3 to 4. Kind of a red flag. The efficiency is down, but the rebounds are down, which I don't think matters that much. But Young's hype and value and all that stuff isn't the same shooting star it probably was two seasons ago. And I'll make note, I'm a big fan of how Murray plays the game. Now, he's not necessarily the same scorer that Trae Young is, but he still averaged 22.5 points per game. And I think depending on how your roster is constructed, if Trae Young might be a better player, maybe some of these contenders think that Murray's a better fit for them. What the Hawks do this offseason with Trae Young, with Murray, with the number one overall pick, with the rest of their roster, is going to be one of the more interesting things that happen this season. What's it going to be? If you were a different NBA team, whatever team you're a fan of, who would you rather trade for? T.Y. for Trae Young, DM for Dejounte Murray. One more player that I think is pretty clearly on the trade block is Bruce Brown. The Toronto Star reports the Raptors are likely going to try to trade Brown this offseason, ideally right around the time of the NBA draft. Now, of note, Brown's got a $23 million option for this year. That's a lot of money. And the report is the Raptors are going to try to find a trade partner for Brown, pick it up, and then deal him. Now, they got to kind of make a decision soon. The option deadline is 2 days after the NBA draft, and that'll also give them the financial knowledge of, hey, what we're going to do with Gary Trent. When the Raptors made the Pascal Siakam trade, they brought back Brown with the hope of, hey, we're going to flip him. We're going to flip him for something else down the line. I think the contract involved for Bruce Brown is if we're being honest, unfortunately, is probably a bit of a negative here. It's a lot of money he's owed for a very good role rotational player, but are you going to give him that much money relative to other players of a similar status? It's going to be, I think, a little interesting. If a team has interest, though, the Raptors will do it. They'll get something back for he's not a superstar player, but he's a good rotation piece for you, like your 6th, 7th, whatever man, as Denver knows quite well. But how much is that really worth contract-wise and in a trade? We'll find out soon.